Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Presley, and in this video today, I wanted to give you my full review for The Walking Dead volumes 1 through 5, so let's get right into it. Now, right off the bat, I want to say that The Walking Dead has been amazing so far, and I'm going to break down this review in a bunch of different categories, with the first one being the artwork. I will say, disclaimer for this entire review, I will not be directly comparing it to the show because I have seen the show up to season 8, but this is its own thing. I don't want to make comparisons to the show because I don't think that feels very genuine in terms of actually grading and reviewing this book and its quality. So I will be sticking mainly and only to the actual book itself. With that being said, let's get into the first criteria, which is that artwork. Now, throughout this series, the artwork has been pretty great. Volume 1, all the internal artwork was done by Tony Moore, and then volumes 2, 3, 4, and 5 were done by Charlie Adlard. Now, there are a couple things I want to say. This is all done in black and white, and I think it really adds to the mood and the aesthetic and the apocalyptic nature of this book. I think it's really fun, and I think if it was colored, it wouldn't have that same dark, dreary effect. Tony Moore's artwork from Volume 1, I personally like on a style aspect more, but I think Charlie Adlard fits the role for The Walking Dead better. His contrast is a little bit darker. He used deeper blacks and brighter whites, and also his lines are a little bit messier and muddled at times, and I think it really gives that dirty, dingy feel to the book. Tony Moore's was a bit more cartoonish and clean, and even though I do prefer that art style, I think for this book, definitely Charlie Adlard's is the superior one for the book. Overall, I really did dig the artwork throughout all 5 volumes of here. I'm going to give it a 4.75 out of 5. Now, when it comes to the world building, the atmosphere, and the mood of this book, this is where Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adlard and their combined efforts really shine. The atmosphere for this book is super dark, super gritty, super dangerous. I love how Robert Kirkman really makes these zombies feel creepy. The world feels so barren, so empty, so hopeless, so scary to traverse, and he even makes just the outside, even if it's daytime, feel very impossible to actually go out into and enjoy because of the dangers and threats lurking around every corner. The atmosphere and mood throughout here, not only with the world, but also between the characters, is great. There's a lot of tension within the group, and that's mainly due to the fact that Robert Kirkman does a great job of pitting characters against one another with different ideas and different ways to help support the group and keep them safe. I love it. The world building throughout this entire series so far has been fantastic, and I'm going to have to give this section a 5 stars out of 5. Now, when it comes to story progression and flow, The Walking Dead has been really fast so far. And then again, I'm not going to compare it to the show, but through these first 5 volumes, we've already been a ton of places. Rick leaves the hospital and he joins up with the group. Then we go to Hershel's farm after Carl gets shot. Something already happens with Shane here that I don't want to spoil, but it happens very early on and actually happens at the end of the first book. So that's already there. And then after Hershel's farm, we head to the prison. So there's a lot of things that are going on here. We've already met Michonne throughout here and Tyrese as well. I really think that the story is moving at a nice pace. In the end of volume 5, or actually towards the middle, we did get our first look at the governor. So we're already into the governor storyline. And I'm hoping that volume 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm not entirely sure how many will cover the governor. I hope they're as amazing as Volume 5 was, because Volume 5 was great. Overall, the story has taken the group to so many places. A lot of characters have been killed off. A lot of characters have been added to the group. And I just think it's flowing nicely. There's a lot of momentum. We are stuck in the prison for a while right now for the last, 3 volumes. But that's because the group wants to make a life here. They want to live here and actually try to enjoy their existence instead of constantly worrying about these zombies and these external threats. So I can understand why we're constantly at this prison. But overall, the story and the flow is fantastic. I got to give it a 5 stars out of 5 as well. Now, when it comes to the characters of this book, this is where it absolutely shines. Not only is Rick an amazing leader, but the whole host of side characters, whether it be Lori, Carol, Carl, Tyrese, any of the side cast, Hershel, Maggie, Glenn, all the characters in here feel so fleshed out. They feel so distinct from one another, and I happen to adore it. I think Rick's leadership being tested and a lot of people thinking maybe he's not fit to lead is great. The character tension throughout here and the emotion is really where a lot of this story progresses, and I think it's fantastic. We start off with Rick and Tyrese not knowing each other, but then becoming close with one another and really learning how to lead properly. And then they start having conflict with each other. They start butting heads. Carol throughout here has been really weird, both with Rick, Tyrese, Michonne, and Lori. I think the kids, they kind of play their own part. They're always being babysat, so somebody has to always be on the sidelines. And then Dale and Andrea throughout here as well, just kind of having their little relationship and kind of staying away from the rest of the group. I think it's great. There's a lot of factions throughout here that the characters kind of fall into, and it just really makes the world feel lived in and makes these characters feel super real. I can feel the emotion and the terror that they have, especially Lori, when she's worried about having the baby, but also worried about Rick constantly leaving the group to go out and do other things. She's scared. Everybody's scared. I just love it. I think the characters is the best aspect of this entire book, and I got to give it a 5 stars out of 5 as well. When it comes to the villains of this series so far, I guess you could say that zombies are the main villains. The zombies and this apocalyptic world are the main villains. And if that's the case, I think it's great. They're obviously mindless. They don't have any sort of reason. They just are there existing, trying to feed and eat and bite whoever they can because that's the only way they exist. And I think it's great. I think they very much set up a sense of tension and terror throughout every single page of this book. It's amazing. The characters are always on edge because of them. And then when we get to volume 5, which is the first time we have an actual character human as an external threat, the governor, I think he's played really well so far. Now, he is different from the show, and I won't compare him to the show, but he feels very vile, very ruthless. He's very selfish. The main reason he's evil, and he even says it throughout here, is that he just wants to get what he wants, and that's basically it. He wants to move his town into the prison now, and I think he's going to be a very dark threat throughout the rest of this entire saga for him. I don't know exactly, again, how long he will be in this story, but right now he's a jerk. You really hate him, and you're tired of looking at him already, even though we've only seen him for about half a volume. I think it's great. Overall, all the external threats to the group throughout here make for a very satisfying, tense story, and I gotta give it a 5 stars out of 5. Now, before I give you my full rating, I just want to say that so far, this series has been so fun. I can't put down the books every time I read them, and I'm super excited to get volume 6 through 10 read so I can get that review out sometime soon, because this book is really fun. There's a total of 32 volumes, so for these reviews right here, they're going to contain anywhere from 5 to 6 volumes, and there's probably going to be about 6 of them, so stay tuned for all those. But yes, let's go ahead and get into the rating right now. Now, yes, to no surprise, I had to give this book a 5 stars out of 5. I think it's amazing. I think it's near perfect. Robert Kirkman does a great job with his dialogue. There are a couple times where he writes in a way that kind of over-explains things, so some of the chat bubbles are really big. But other than that, I think it's great. I think the characters feel real, even if sometimes they do talk a little wonky and a little writer-like. But yes, fantastic book. Love the contrast and the darkness throughout here. The artwork really serves the story well. It's very muddy, very gruesome, very violent at times. The story's great. I can't wait to see where the group goes next. And overall, I just think it's a perfect book so far. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read Walking Dead, specifically volumes 1 through 5, so we could talk about it. If you have, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions? And most importantly, what is your rating? Again, I gave the whole thing a 5 stars out of 5 so far. If you haven't read it, it's a great series. I would try picking it up. Thank you so very much for watching this review. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later.